Welcome to Can, the marketing podcast. I'm Ben from Human Digital, the B2B marketing agency.
And I'm Steph from Q Marketing, making brands shine since ages ago.
This week, we're unpacking challenger brands versus market leaders and why bigger isn't always better.
So open a can of Pepsi, grab your Whittaker's chocolate, and listen in as we unlock the challenger marketing playbook. Hint, the secret is in your positioning.
We release a new episode every week, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hey, Steph, how's it going?
Hey, Ben, happy Wednesday. Really good, thanks. How are you today?
Yeah, good. I am back in Auckland. I was in Wellington for the weekend, which was good fun. I took the train, so there's a train called the Northern Explorer, which I took from Auckland down to Wellington, and I survived.
This is really a step back in time, isn't it? Because I did see your social media, and you and all your family we're catching the train to Wellington, which I thought I was a bit worried about how you were getting back. How long?
I took the flight back. I'm saying that it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and that you should only do it once.
Yeah, I mean, what's the food like on the train?
It's good. So there's two carriages. There's the fancy carriage where you get a full. I don't know how many meals you get, but you come on and there's tablecloths and everything. We were not in that carriage.
Oh, okay.
So we were able to buy food from the cafe car, which had essentially fancy prepackaged meals that they heated up for you.
Like kind of like being on a plane, but you're on a train.
Yeah. And so they had all of these meals stacked up in the fridge, and you could get, steak and roast beef and lamb. And so it was nice. And it was definitely priced nicely as well. Okay, it wasn't cheap. But yeah, and then they had a great selection of drinks and everything. It was really good. And then you could bring your own food as well. So we had a few snacks and things. You just can't drink your own alcohol.
Oh, that was going to be my next question. As I'm sure you just preempted that. So one of the things I love about you, Ben, is that you are constantly showing us new and interesting pastimes and activities. So I like this diversity. I like the fact that you've gone on a train. So
it's good.
Welcome back.
Now, thank you. The family's actually talking about doing another train, not the same one, but in the South Island, which I think would be beautiful.
Transalpine.
Transalpine, I think.
Yeah.
So the trains are not your typical train. It's like floor to ceiling glass. It is amazing views. We were at a table, so there were 8 of us. So we had 2 tables and great chats. They also have a viewing car, and you can walk out and smell the fresh air / diesel fumes. Take photos. It was really beautiful. They stop along the way, but not long enough to get off. Just enough time for people to board and disembark.
Okay, one last question on our podcast that's now turning into a travel podcast. What does one pay for a one-way trip to Wellington on the train?
Don't quote me, but I think it's about $200.
Okay, well, it's great.
Yeah,
fantastic.
I mean, depending on when you're flying, you can sometimes get an airfare cheaper than that one way.
Yeah, that's true.
But sometimes it's a lot more.
And so what else have you been, other than train spotting, what else have you been up to?
Well, I did spend a bit of time in Wellington when I got there as well. So, explored Wellington a bit and then worked from Wellington on Monday and flew back. And then tomorrow I'm going to Laneway, which is in Auckland. So looking forward to that. Fingers crossed for good weather and not muddy. But the headliner is Chapel Roan. And
So
I'm very excited to see her.
there are so many angles I want to take with this. Chapel Roan, she had a very interesting outfit at the Grammys.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you think she'll bring that onto stage? Are you excited?
I hope so.
Looking forward to the nipple dress.
I don't think that nipple dress looks very dangerous. Like I don't think that's something that you would want to be jumping around the stage in. She's, very she does jump around the stage.
Can you imagine somebody would have been next to her going, no one touching it, like no one pull that dress off her nipples. Don't do that.
Oh my word.
For anyone who hasn't seen it, Chapel Roan decided to wear a dress that was held up and attached to her nipples at the Grammys this week.
Indeed. And what have you been up to, Steph?
Okay, nothing as exciting as train trips. I have got, I'm really fortunate this year. I have managed to, I'm working with a uni student who is interning for Q Marketing. And her name is Emily Long, and she's so lovely. And actually, what's really great about her is she is the head of the AUT Marketing Collective, and they do a lot of work with the Marketing Association. So that's awesome because she's already kind of gotten into the marketing world. So I'm really excited. It's just really cool. I think I love marketing so much. It's cool to work with people who are studying it and kind of applying it in real life, and also learning kind of what they're teaching the students. So I think I'm getting as much out of it, hopefully, as she will. So that was great. And
Good.
then because you tend to be my social guiding light, after your rousing, your very complimentary review of The Housemaid, I went and saw it with Sydney Sweeney. I went and saw that last Saturday night, and gosh, it was good.
Wasn't it? It is.
Yeah.
You have to take it for face value. It is not, it's not a deep and meaningful. It is pure enjoyment. It is a bit of gore, a bit of horror, a lot of comedy, a lot of innuendo. It's good.
So
and it's hot.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was a bit jumpy in it, but okay, I probably shouldn't say this out loud.
No, don't give any plots away.
No, it wasn't about that. It was the fact that I took my daughter, who wasn't quite 16.
Wow. Well,
anyway,
better that she learns early. Yeah, and I think it does have a positive message. I think it has. It's good.
I'm still waiting to see. Go watch it. It was great. I'm still waiting to see if we're going to see Sydney Sweeney at Super Bowl. My money is on that.
Definitely. I have to trawl through the latest release because they're releasing episodes every week. We may as well talk about that now. So
yeah, let's do it.
Super Bowl. So all of these teasers and the actual ads are now coming out. So the Super Bowl's happening on February the 8th. So it would have actually aired by the time this podcast goes to air as well.
Oh, exciting.
And one of the ads I did a bit of a review of, which is Pepsi, and it aligns really nicely to our episode today, which is challenges. So we'll be talking a bit about that. But yeah, every day new ads are dropping in preview to the Super Bowl. So really exciting.
I love advertising and I love watching Super Bowl ads. Where are you seeing the ads being previewed though? Like, is there where do people go and get a preview?
It's all over. Some of it is in the marketing press. Some of it is in YouTube. They're kind of popping up on LinkedIn.
Awesome.
It usually depends on who the agency is behind it, but a lot of the media outlets are giving us previews.
Okay, well, that's exciting. And then in the news section,
yes.
You also wanted to touch on the Grammys.
Yeah, the Grammys. I mean, all of these things are tying together. So the Grammys, this was the 68th annual Grammy Awards. So 68 years were held on Sunday, the 1st of February in LA at the Crypto.com Arena.
Oh, stop it.
So the highlight was Bad Bunny, and he made history with the album of the year. Kendrick Lamar was also a big winner, and Lady Gaga as well. So
nice.
Proving that pop scale performance and cultural relevance still wins big. And really lucky to have seen her live performing that album in Melbourne earlier this year. So amazing. And as we mentioned, Chappell Roan was there in a Mugler gown, which was the nipple hanging gown.
Just when we think we've seen it all, honestly.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So definitely it lit up social feeds and fashion roundups. Everyone's talking about that dress, and well done. And very excited to see her playing at Laneway tomorrow. So she must have just packed that dress in a suitcase and jumped on her jet to come down under.
Now, I just really quickly want to touch on Laneway. So a couple of things, which is slightly marketing related. So I'm traumatized from the last time I went to Laneway and it was full of 16-year-olds. So I would like a full report next week, please, on the fashion and what people, who's there. I'm super interested. And then the other thing is, so
you went last year. Was it last year?
A couple of years ago, and I was in VIP.
I did go last year and saw Charlie XCX. Amazing.
That would have been cool. What was I going to say? I was in VIP the year that I went, and it still didn't save me from the youth and their
Get
lack
them
of
away.
clothing. Yeah,
The great unwashed.
Spoken like the boomer I am. So, so the other thing that's really great about music festivals is there's this huge, like, I think I've talked before about this fight for the alcohol dollar and RTD. It's a fight in RTD space these days. And one of the things I've seen this week, which I think is amazing. So I obviously have worked in alcohol. I've kind of keep an eye out on what's happening. Hieketsu is number one RTD. I've talked a little bit about X by Long White.
That's a Japanese one?
That's Japanese one. Japan's having a moment, right? Now, Suntory is going. I'm going to pick Suntory as the company to watch for growth and some of their marketing campaigns.
100%. They have the Boss cans as well, the Boss coffee cans. Yep. Great partnership there.
Yeah, absolutely. So they've just launched an RTD called -1. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. -196, and the story behind that is that it's the fruit is frozen at minus 196 degrees or whatever.
It's not like it's -1 calorie if you drink it.
No. Hey, we could pitch that. We could pitch that to them as an idea.
But they also own V, don't they?
I don't know if they've still got that partnership with Furuka. I don't. They may have separated now and become more salt. I know I think they've split the Coke relationship actually.
Right. They've got some big brands, so they used to at least.
So anyway, I'm super impressed because it is absolutely a fight between hard rated Hieketsu and -196s now. And so they have, and my point there is they have picked up, I guess, the product sponsorship of Laneway. And so I'm always fascinated to look at which brands are there and activating at music festivals, because that is how you get fit into culture. So as our roving reporter from Laneway, I would like a report back, please, on activations next week.
Brilliant. And hot on the heels of the Australian Open, which also went hard in activations for alcohol and other fashion, Rolexes and other brands.
And actually on that, I have a funny feeling that I'm seeing a lot of merch with AO Australian Open logos on them at the gym. Just as a side note.
They've all been to Melbourne. It's a place to be.
Okay.
So this week we're talking about challenges.
That's right. Not just challenges.
Not just challenges.
What is it like to be a challenger brand? And what I think it would be really cool to pull apart here is the similarities and differences and how you might go to market in your approach. What does it mean? What does it mean to be a challenger brand versus being the market leader? And so the definition of a challenger brand, just to set the scene, is a company with market ambitions that exceed its resources. More often than not, they'll obviously be below the market leader, but they have a strong disruptive mindset, and they are quite often purpose-driven, mission-orientated, and have a strong desire to shake up the status quo. And I think that is a pretty good way of describing it, because I think this will hold true against any category, basically. So there's lots of challenger brands that come in. So
can challenger? I mean, this isn't really something that brands decide. They don't decide we're going to be a challenger, but essentially, could a brand be a leader and then flip to becoming a challenger? Does that happen?
I would say no. So. Okay, here's a really great so this is my thinking on this. I think if you're the market, it's really hard to be a challenger when you have been the market leader. And I think Long White is a really excellent example of this. So Long White was a brand that came in, I think it would have been about 15 years ago now, and that would completely change the category of RTDs. So RTDs used to be Smirnoff Ice, Purple Goannas, Woodstocks, etc., high sugar, high ABV. Long White came in and it had a more natural, clean kind of palate to it. It wasn't an overnight success. It took a while to build. They then they got up to something like over 50% market share. That has now, and then what happened is you had actual challenger brands like Pals. So Pals did to Long White what Long White did to the category back in the day. So you'll always have a challenger coming in. And slowly but surely, the market share of Long White has declined. And now they've tried to act like a challenger and bring out X by Long White. So,
that's a great thing about brand, is that you can be the incumbent and own the major brand and create your own challenger. And I've seen that. I mean, one example would be 2 Degrees here, who I think try and position themselves as a challenger. But essentially they are part of the big boys now.
Well, they are now, but I don't know, can you recall when 2 Degrees came into the market? Like, they came in and they were so clear about breaking up that duopoly between Telecom and Vodafone and going, we're fighting for fair, and that's always been their tagline. And they very much, they changed the pricing structures. So people would remember, can you remember back in the day, everyone was locked into plans, 24-month plans, and you couldn't get out of them. And Telecom would stiff you at any given moment. And 2 Degrees came in and really agitated that. And I suppose what happens with any challenger brand is eventually they also grow up because they can't be tiny. They've got goals to take market share, right?
Mm. And this actually happens. A really good example, and a client that I work with is IAG. So IAG, I don't know what percentage of the market they own. It's over 50% in both Australia and New Zealand. But they have released a new brand called Roland. And so it's been around now for, I think, about 4 years. But essentially, Roland behaves like a challenger because it's reframing insurance around simplicity and control. It's definitely going after a younger demographic. They have monthly pricing. It is mobile app first. They don't really do phone calls. And they've got a clear enemy, which is paperwork, call centers, and insurance speak. So it's not saying that they're better at insurance. It's saying insurance shouldn't feel like this. And that's how they're challenging that market. But the funny thing is, they are owned by IAG, who is the market leader. And this is the beauty of brand, and the beauty of brands, and the beauty of brand perception is that, there's so many different strategies. It is 100% smoke and mirrors.
I was going to say something similar happened when, again, going back to 2 Degrees. What do you think Telecom did? They launched Skinny. They never would have launched, a couple of reasons. They never would have launched Skinny if they hadn't had another competitor in the market. They would have continued to go on as they were. Nobody would have believed. In actual fact, I was working at Telecom in 2008, 2009. Pre-iPhone, and they did try and do a cheaper version. So they had obviously full service, and they tried to do really cheap offers for prepay. But it was so much more appealing to go to 2 Degrees. They were the cool new brand. They was you could roll over your minutes. You weren't tied into anything. And so then eventually they launched Skinny as the sub brand. Now I suppose that probably wasn't as hidden potentially as as Roland out of IAG, but that is one way to tackle it. If you're a big company with market share and you've got someone else coming in, create a sub-brand.
Indeed. Or another one from the playbook is acquire a competitive brand and either keep running it as a competitive brand or slowly let it fade into the background. So one of my favorites is Dollar Shave Club. I don't know if you remember Dollar Shave Club.
Oh, God, there's been a lot of marketing textbook examples about Dollar Shave Club.
Oh, my God. So Dollar Shave Club was the market competitor, and they were the challenger. They were reframing as razors being overpriced. I mean, the whole thing with the razors where you bought the handle and then the blades were, and still are, really expensive.
Yeah.
So they weren't framing their razor as technically superior. I mean, it was good.
Because how many more blades do you need for a closer shave, Ben?
Exactly. So they really reframed, and essentially Gillette, who is and is now still the market leader, they were vulnerable because they didn't know how to approach it. But essentially, Unilever ended up buying Dollar Shave Club because it.
Did they? I didn't know that. That's a part of
did.
that's
so they weren't buying it because it beat Gillette, and it wasn't stealing the whole category, but it was a strategic acquisition for them. And the legacy brands, you can't test that credibility inside the existing brand. So this was an absorption essentially. I have to check if it's still running, but I'm pretty sure it's kind of dead.
So the other thing too, and now that I had kind of worked with smaller organizations, I can also see that there are some brands. So initially a brand might start being purpose-led. And so you're driven by the goal to change up the category because, things are a little bit unfair, and you genuinely you can see a better way for people. And I think capital markets and in a capital environment, in an open supply and demand, that's a wonderful thing because we don't want to operate in a duopoly, etc. But what I've also had never really come across before is people who start challenger brands to be purchased. So the goal is actually to be acquired.
So I've just been corrected. Essentially, after the Unilever acquisition, it did keep running, but interestingly, 2023, Unilever then sold it to a venture capital firm.
Oh yeah, okay.
So,
Yeah, there you
so
go.
the brand keeps on getting passed around.
Okay, but it was
which is good.
But again,
Yeah.
so and then if we think about what it's like to sit as a marketer, and you may find yourself working for a company that is not the market leader, and that can seem like a really really tough place to be. What would your let's say I take you, Ben, and I put you into a marketing team, and they're going, look, we've only got 5% market share. Our greatest competitors at 40%. What would you do?
Yeah, I mean, so my opinion is that challenger brands can have more fun doing marketing, and I think if we look at the playbook of big brands, they have big margins, they have a lot of cash, and they
Slow.
can. Yeah, they're slow, but they can play the numbers game. So they can throw huge dollars. Like look at Coca Cola, look at Unilever,
Yeah.
all of these big brands. Their playbook is, yeah, definitely. Like they can buy the best creative. They don't often, though. Like look at Coke, they're like doing horrible AI slop for
Yeah.
their ads.
Yeah.
So they are in more of a numbers game where it's just, dollars, performance, not really, doing fun stuff. There are some that do invest in it properly, but I feel like challengers, because they have a bit less, they have to be more creative. And marketers that are good and they take on that challenge. They don't just give up because they've got a limited budget. They're like, how can we make this better? How can we solve a problem? How can we create a message that is going to shake things up, that's going to get attention? And I feel like challengers don't necessarily do better marketing, but they do different marketing, and that marketing typically has potentially more of a viral element to it.
Yeah, and look, I think when you don't have a lot of money, what you have to have is a very clear. If it's not your purpose, you have to have a really clear reason for being. And so, if we take the assumption that let's say, we take the assumption that you're not just sitting there because someone has decided just to start a brand because of it, that you actually do genuinely have a point of difference, and that is why your brand exists, then the best thing you can do is be really, really clear and definitive about that, and really clear about your target audience, because the one thing that it does remain incredibly true if you're a challenger brand is you can't outspend your competitors. You have to find the people that are most likely to want to use your product or become aware of it, and you just hone in on them, and then you sort of have to kind of move out from there. And that is, I mean, to your point about virality and becoming, you want to become famous within a certain set of people, because then the word will spread. But there's absolutely no way you can compete dollar for dollar. Like if you're a Pepsi and a Coke, you just don't have the budget to have that high mental availability. So your real play is differentiation, I think.
And the big brands that are the market leaders, they kind of have to please everyone. So, they're really sensitive about offending people, where challengers they can polarize. So they can alienate some customers, they can speak in absolutes, and they can pick fights. And
100%.
Market leaders can't do that without,
No.
Bleeding trust or losing customers or creating, a lot of stir.
Yeah. And I think we're quite lucky, I suppose. I think we're lucky in New Zealand. It's great it's kind of a good thing to be a challenger brand. People celebrate it.
It's the underdog.
We love the underdog. It's a great place to be. So,
but I think everyone loves an underdog story. I mean, that is the hero story in every culture. The American culture, Australian culture. I think it's a global thing. People want to support the underdog or the challenger because it represents opportunity for them. People want to be the challenger because they want to do better in life and move up.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I think, if I think about what it means to be a challenger, I think the number one thing that you can do is pick your one or two things that you stand for, your message, and just repeat, because
Mm.
you don't have the money to do everything, and you also, the more you just repeat yourself, the more people will actually understand. Because sometimes you actually have to educate the category on what you are. You might be doing
Mm.
something completely different and teaching people how to use the product differently, and then you're doing a category job, which is also slightly harder.
Mm. So the interesting, coming to the Super Bowl and the Pepsi ad. So the framing of the Pepsi ad is it features one of they don't say it as the Coca Cola bear, but it's one of the Coca Cola polar bears doing the
Oh,
infamous taste test. So the bear has two cans in front and the bear is blindfolded, and sips the Pepsi, sips the Coke, and then votes Pepsi, takes the mask off, and basically has an existential crisis about choosing Pepsi, goes to see his shrink, who's Taka Waititi,
of
who
course. I
is,
mean, of course he is.
I mean, he directed it as well.
Oh,
And
that's so classic Taika Waititi. I'll be in it.
is brilliant. And I mean, he is brilliant. And then, is then walking around the streets really upset and comes across a scene of humans all enjoying Pepsi and enjoying it. And so obviously he's coming around to the Pepsi brand. And then it finishes with his what looks like his polar bear girlfriend offering him a can of Pepsi as well. But then it finishes with a Coldplay jab, and the two
Oh,
of them are on the kiss cam, the
oh
two
my God.
polar bears with Pepsi, and they're loving it. So
Um, that's
yeah.
genius. I have to go and watch this. That is culturally relevant in a way that Kendall Jenner never was. Was it
Yeah.
Kendall that did the
It's
Pepsi?
amazing. So they've leaned into a lot of things, but they still, I feel like they really accept their challenger status.
Yeah.
The critiques are, they are, using Coca Cola, who's the market leader, as a point of reference rather than generating their own story. But yeah, I think, you have to try and play with some of these messages.
Having said that, the Pepsi have consistently talked about the taste. So they
Yeah.
have been doing that for decades. So in actual fact, the I guess the vehicle in and this ad will be another way of bringing that to life. But they've always played that they taste better. That
Yeah.
so that in itself is not like if we talk about, like last week we talked about strategy, that is very much sticking to the thing that you're like you know that you taste better in blind taste test. So they've just chosen to use the beer.
So what I would like to see is Pepsi really taking a stance of Coke is going hard in AI. We're going creator human led. So that's
Yeah,
that's the kind of differentiation I think we could see from Pepsi. So when a competitor leans in hard in one direction, lean hard the other
okay,
way. And I think maybe that might be a better. I mean, it looks like they use CGI for it. I mean, there's no other way they could get the bear to do that. It's definitely computer generated. It may not be AI, but I think what would have been maybe a better take for Pepsi to go for was really leading into their human stories, and the story of what Pepsi is, what it means. A lot of the musical artists that they partner with
yeah.
and celebrate, I think that might have been a better lean, but this was humorous.
Maybe this is just a Super Bowl play too, right? Like this is the thing that's it'll get like, and the fact that we're talking about it, and the fact that like that's the other thing, because the PR and the talkability is just as important as the actual reach you get from the actual media itself. One of the things I'm interested to get your thoughts on this, because another way a challenger brand can get attention is to do exactly what Pepsi have done and take on the challenger directly and
Take on the market leader.
take on the market leader. What are your thoughts on that, just generally speaking, on that as a marketing approach?
Yeah, it's an approach. I mean, you can either take on the industry as a whole or you
Mm,
can take on the marketing leader. I think it's good because it allows you to have a narrative that is really polarizing. And I think if you're leaning into culture and you want to, especially if you're tapping into an underserved market, and I think this is where
mm,
challenges really come into their own, and this is where culture plays in. You've got your leading brand, Coca Cola. This is the one that the cool kids will play into, but maybe it's also, what your parents drink, for example. And, for
yeah,
the kids that don't want to be their parents or, don't want to be the basic Coke drinking person, they can culturally identify with Pepsi or the challenger and come up with that and embrace it as reflecting their uniqueness or, their place, their place in society.
Yeah. And I think my build on that is, I think this cultural nuance between markets around how accepted and appropriate comparison claims are. So I would say in New Zealand, we are, well, first of all, it used to be the ASA wouldn't let you do direct comparison claims. It was like you had to be very careful about pitching yourself against somebody else, taking another brand into disrepute. I'm pretty sure there was something in the ASA around that. I would say that in America, far more accepted, far more common form of advertising, much, much more prolific, and actually almost celebrated, I would say, within that culture. But my final word on that would be, I think it's okay to do comparison and talk about the market leader if you know your target audience and that they will respond well to that, because I think it could backfire.
It can. And I think there's a difference between, there's so many ways you can approach messaging. You can go directly after product, but a better way is to, align a more positive message to be, who you're for, and talk more positively about who your customer is and having your customer represented in the ads. And I think that's more powerful than that negative message. And maybe you need both.
And you also want to avoid that, telling people that maybe the way that they've always done things and the brands that they've always chosen are a bit shit, because that just makes people like, you don't ever want to make your consumers feel bad about the choices that they've been making up until now, because that's probably, in my opinion, that's a great way to go.
But I mean, Coke is still the global market leader in carbonated beverages, and Pepsi is number 2. But they both have massive market share. And even though Pepsi's technically the challenger, I don't think they are a real challenger in the market. The real challengers in the beverage industry are going after a whole new set of people that, they want probiotics, they want healthier alternatives. Like Pepsi isn't really, Pepsi's number 2, but they are part of the system. The challengers are the new beverage companies.
What cracks me up about this, though, is because, on the outside, you look at companies and you go, oh, look, they're all doing well, aren't they? Isn't that great? Everyone's making money. Then you get inside a business, and I don't think it matters, actually. I genuinely don't think it matters the business. If every single person or company has got a competitor that's doing better than them in something.
Always, yeah. And even within a company like Coca Cola and the many brands they have, there'll be brands that are doing well and brands that aren't. There'll be brands that are on the rise, and there'll be brands that are on the decline.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's always, things that are performing and that are not performing.
Actually, on that note, when I've sat in companies that are market leaders and they're looking at scan results, reports, data, market data, and they're seeing small challenger brands come in, sometimes the trap can be a really arrogant approach, going, oh, they're only at they're only at 1% share. It doesn't matter. Who cares about them? And I would say you've got to be very careful, because those challenger brands can get massive. Like that, if you I don't think you want to spend a lot of time copying anyone else's strategy. Stick to your knitting and know what you're really good at, just a general rule of thumb. But don't get caught out, because the people will vote for, with their feet.
And 1% turns into 5 and then 10, and then all of a sudden you have to acquire the company for $50 million.
Exactly.
Do you have any favorite challenger brands? Or any favorite mainstay brands?
I mean, ironically, I've worked on a lot of challenger brands, and I don't think I'd like, and not necessarily on purpose. Do I have any favorite brands? I mean, I'm more,
maybe just talk about some of your favorite brands. I mean, one of my favorite brands, I do like Kiwi brands, is I Love Ugly. So I Love Ugly really fits that challenger mentality. Firstly, their brand is I Love Ugly, which is, going against what fashion is really, which is beauty. I would say that they're now no longer a challenger in the New Zealand market, and they are very much mainstream. But when they started out, they were that challenger. They were going after all of the other big brands, and they were putting their uniquely Kiwi stamp, and they've done really well and no
Yeah.
longer a challenger.
Yep, I agree. And I think anything that's coming and shaking up the category. So I'm working at the moment with Animals Like Us, which is, definitely a challenger brand. You think about Mars making pet food and you think about how big pet food brands are. It's a bit like, it's a kind of like the Coca Cola in terms of you've got these massive companies making, Purina and all the rest of it. And this is a small business that is it basically found white space in the category. And very much is purpose driven, because at the end of the day, you actually can't fake a good product if your pet won't eat it. So there's a degree of, you have to have a product that works. And that's a really exciting space to be in, because I guess the founders are ex-icebreakers, so they know how to do distinctive brand assets. And so it's a little bit of, you've got a really great product market fit, but you've also got really strong design principles and really strong branding, because the other thing as a challenger brand is you have to stand out. I mean, Hell Pizza is another example of that. Hell Pizza's budget compared to the KFC budget is a tenth of the size. You just can't compete on money, on spend.
And one of my favorite brands that are definitely not a challenger now is Birkenstock, and they've been around forever. And they used to be essentially a sandal that was worn by podiatrists, health professionals, hippies, and it really wasn't until the 1990s and now the mid 2000s where they've become the market leader now. But these journeys take so long, and all of the brands that are around today probably started as a challenger. So one of the brands that is definitely not a challenger now is Birkenstock, and Birkenstock is definitely mainstream and is probably one of the leading brands, and they are so expensive. But essentially in the early 1960s and 70s, it was not fashionable. I mean, Birkenstocks were functional sandals, and they were worn by podiatrists and health professionals and hippies, and they were really bought for comfort and orthopedic credibility and essentially anti-fashion. So they were the ugly the ugly sandal.
I think there's another whole thing in this too, because Crocs you could say the same thing about.
100%.
They were functional.
Ugly. They still are ugly. Like they are. I mean, they were worn, by people like chefs and things. I think they're really, really big for people working in kitchens. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these brands, most brands start as a challenger. Unless it's a new category, potentially.
I tend to agree with you. The interesting thing here, if you think about Birkenstocks and Crocs, how do you take that jump into, how do you get into the mainstream? Like, how do you go from being this niche?
So a lot of how it's done is essentially by inserting yourself into culture. And this is like, if we look at Labubu, if we look at Crocs, if we look at all of these things, it's getting into culture. And a lot of getting into culture is either getting in through a celebrity endorsement or through the movies and product placement, or through now
thought
influencers, thought leaders.
Genuinely into these tiny little niches in society who are the thought leaders is not the right term. It's like they're the taste makers. Like they're the ones that people go, look at that edgy guy over there wearing that weird shoe. He's uber cool. And then the mainstream just follows from there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 100%. And I think, you kind of have to lean in. And I think that is the key here, is you have to take risks and you have to lean in and you have to push through the part that feels really awkward. And, Crocs is a really great example, because Crocs were shat on in popular culture. They were called out. There's so many memes about Crocs, and then it's because it started out as a boating shoe. It was lightweight, grippy, practical. It was not fashionable. Yeah, but then essentially nurses, hospitality workers, theme parks and parents, they adopt it through utility, which is similar to the Birkenstock story. And then in the late 2000s, there was the punchline. So it was bad taste, it was mocked. But then in the mid 2010s, they didn't apologize. The Crocs leaned in, they became the ugly feature. And this is, coming then into the COVID area. Everyone wants comfort. They want to slide into their shoe, their sandal, their Croc.
And their Ugg boots. We could go on. Ugg boots again.
Yeah.
What?
And also then the customization as well. So I think the other thing that Crocs did really well is personalization. And now there's Croc charms, and I've seen some absolutely hideous things.
I've got one that's
Crocs.
I've got one that's fallen off one of my children's shoes sitting in my sunroof. I'm like, what is this thing sitting in my
Exactly. And then you've got the mainstays, and I think one of the brands that are doing really well, and I experienced this when I was in Rio, is Havaianas.
Oh, yes.
So Havaianas, again, they lean in. They have got a really basic sandal. They have other things now. They have different varieties and different things, but they had a personalization station within their store where you could add special charms onto the sandal, so that
did you get one? Because I bet you did.
I bought a lot of pairs, but I did not get any personalizations. Okay. So there's no charms on my Havaianas. No. But they were really good. They're great price. They were really good value, even in Rio.
I'd have to say, it would be great for laneway, wouldn't it? You take your Brazilian.
I don't know. I don't want to get stood on. And it depends how wet it's going to be. You might lose a sandal in the mud in the literal mosh pit.
You could put your Crocs into sports mode, Ben.
Oh my God. Flip that back. I don't know. I do not own Crocs. I own Birkenstocks and I do own Havaianas. I do not own any Crocs.
Same. I agree. I'm with you. I'm the exact same. I'm not wearing a pair of Crocs to save myself. Right. I mean, I think that's we've really gone off piste a little bit here into brand.
But brand is everything. I mean, Challenges is about brand. I mean, and brand is such a magical, beautiful, interesting space. And it supersedes companies and people. And I think, it's just fascinating.
Look, I think one of the other things that came up in our research was looking at that Whittaker's Cadbury example. I think that's another example. Imagine how tough it must be sometimes sitting in Whittaker's. And I think
tough being in Whittaker's or Cadbury?
Well, in Whittaker's originally. So here's my take on the situation with Whittaker's. I think early days, they were basically going, it was kind of like for like, it was New Zealand chocolate and then there was Cadbury.
Which are British, essentially.
Yep. And then my view on this is that when they started doing the collabs and the limited releases, that is the thing that's made Whittaker's really cement their positioning.
So I think the other thing was when they, especially for New Zealand, when Cadbury shifted all of their production to Australia and changed the recipe. Palm oil.
Yeah. That did them no favors. And so actually Whittaker's got a massive upswing. They probably got a whole bunch of trial as a result of the mistake, I guess, that Cadbury made. And then I think they lost people permanently. Because when I was a child, Cadbury was a preferred brand. Like, Whittaker's was a little bit fancy, and probably my mother would have been like, "We're not spending the extra money on Whittaker's. You can have the Cadbury."
Yeah, but the other thing is, like, one of my favorite childhood memories were Rose's chocolates, which were made in New Zealand in this plant in Dunedin, and they were magical things. And it was the gift for mostly Christmas, but a whole lot of occasions. Yeah,
babysitting.
Rose's chocolates. And then they created, one of the best treats that you could buy into these shitty, jelly-filled crap that are just awful. And, favorites have taken their place, which is another Cadbury product. But
the shitification of food, basically. Yes.
It is.
In general.
But yes, but Cadbury, they still have their place. I'm sure they're doing amazing sales, but Whittaker's, brilliant story. And, Whittaker's also lean quite heavily in tradition. they
Artisan.
artisan and handmade. I'm sure it's all machine stuff.
And just to repeat the point, I don't think there's little people in a factory in Wellington making the chocolate. But no, to reiterate the point though, again, Whittaker's can't be Cadbury. By definition, it just can't be Cadbury. So stick to the thing that you know that you like. Again, defend your positioning. Be really good at the thing that you're good at, and that's your challenger position. And yeah, you'll be tiny compared to the giant, and lots of people are going to buy the big family blocks because they're cheaper. That's fine. Those aren't your people. So I think what they did is they went up rather than down in terms of positioning by doing the limited edition releases like the jelly tip and all the other ones. I can't think of them, the hundreds and thousands, etc.
There's so many. It's so good. It's like Oreo.
But I mean, and Cadbury are doing them now, and I'm doing a little bit of an eye roll.
Yeah, too late.
Although the Biscoff one does look quite good, but
Oh, we love Biscoff. I've just talking about Biscoff. I have tried the 2-ingredient cheesecake, and it is amazing. If you haven't tried it already, buy a Greek yogurt bottle and
small or large?
Large, or obviously large, and then get a traditional pack of the Biscoff biscuits, not the ones with the cream center or anything, just the standard ones. You push it into the Greek yogurt. It is amazing. It tastes. It's essentially like a cheesecake. So.
Again, I've got a teenage child where in fact I think I might surprise her, and we'll do that this weekend. Yeah, anyway, we're not a cooking show, and nor are we fashion.
No, we're not. But we have little side tips.
Yeah, we do.
So next episode we have a special guest. So
yes.
we've got a special guest from the Marketing Association, the CEO of the Marketing Association, John Miles. So we are very lucky to have him joining us on the podcast next week, and we will be talking. Yeah, the Godfather of Marketing. So yes, stay tuned for the next episode, and we will be talking everything Marketing Association.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Ben. Have an awesome week.
Have a good weekend, everyone. Can the Marketing Podcast is brought to you by Human Digital and Q Marketing. Our editor is Bruna Barbosa. New episodes drop weekly, so tell your friends and colleagues.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you follow and subscribe to Canned wherever you listen. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and if you want the full visual experience, check us out on YouTube.
See you next week.